Hey everyone, Internet PCS book reader here. Today I want to talk about Hello Beautiful by Napolitano. Hello Beautiful enters one of the few stories that started really strong with, for the first 6 days of William Waters' life, he was not an only child. William Waters was born in the early 60s with his sister Caroline, but unfortunately Caroline got ill soon after she was born and died a few days after. However, her short visit on Earth changed how the family interact forever. Sickness and coughing feel like they're taboo now in the house. The name Caroline was never mentioned ever like a forbidden spell, and William became a constant reminder to his parents of their lost child. So the family never really connect as a family, like it's missing a piece of the puzzle. William himself grew up boring and forgettable. His words, not mine. His parents tend to ignore him in the house and let him do his thing, and his friends at school and teacher don't seem to have much awareness of his existence. But he loved basketball, and it just happened that he lived near a park with an abandoned outdoor court, so he played there all the time, imagining himself as his favorite basketball players. It was there that he, for the first time ever, is being recognized, at first by the occasional player who sometimes appeared at the abandoned court, and then by his gym teacher, who encouraged him even further to play basketball in the school team. He got good enough to play as a freshman even with his shortness, and then his height shot up suddenly one night to 6'7", or more accurately 204 cm for those with more accurate measurement system. But immediately soon he was shoved while he's still in the air for a rebound and fell on his knee, fracturing it and putting him on bed rest. His insecurities flared up during this time because there's nothing to do. What if his leg never healed? What if he was forgotten? What if memories of him is abandoned like the memories of his sister Caroline? But thankfully the leg healed, and thanks to his decent grade and basketball potential, he got a lot of scholarship offers so he get to go to college. He stayed mostly alone in college, trying just to exist until he met Julia Padavano, a girl with an inquisitive mind that kept asking questions to the college professor at their class. One day she goes to William and asks him how did he get so tall, and this innocent question makes William laugh and possibly also fell for Julia. Later, William would look back at this moment and know that this was when he fell for her, or more accurately, when his body fell for her. In the middle of the quad, attention from a specific girl reeled in laughter from the nooks and crannies within him. William's body, tired and bored by his hesitant mind, had to set off fireworks in his nerve and muscle to alert him that something of import was taking place. And that's how the two met. William and Julia decided to go out, or more specifically, it was Julia that decided that, and William happily accepted. And he got introduced to her three sisters, Sylvie and the twins Cecily and Emmeline. Meanwhile, Julia grew up in a poor household. Her house is located in a neighborhood that is filled with a mix of Italian and Mexican, and she would consider it shabby. Her mother is even someone who wore some makeshift gardening gear herself, which would be popular as a DIY project nowadays. And unlike William's house, where everyone doesn't seem to talk to each other, Julia's house is crowded with 6 people and 5 of them are all women, and they grew closer in the way that siblings tend to do with all the differences and frustration. Their family feels more like a modern retelling of Little Woman. It's nice there and she likes her family, but it is a neighborhood where people are stuck. Her words, not mine. She had a plan for the future, plan to leave the neighborhood, plan to be with William, and plan where they will go. Her comfort zone is trying to control things. But in life, there will always be things that are out of your control. The storytelling of the book is amazing. It changes perspective from different characters of the story, but each of them have clear voices that differentiate them from one another. Unlike If I Survived that I just reviewed, this book have a good enough pace to make us feel like there is progress in the story. It helped that after changing perspective, the story still continues. It doesn't repeat previous story beat that we have already gone through too much, so it doesn't waste our time. As we follow the next perspective of the second sister Sylvie, we have already been introduced to her and already know her obsession with romance literature like Jane Eyre. And from these books, an obsession about love and finding the right one also come from Sylvie. And just like Little Woman, the sisters bring different perspectives to life and in this case, also to love. Love had made Julia happier and lighter, but she saw it as part of a well-constructed life, not a reason for living like Sylvie did. You can also tell how much despite their differences, both of them are thinking about their family in the way they put their family in their plan for the future. Even if, unlike Julie, Sylvie doesn't get along well with Rose, their mother, honestly, the storytelling is so good that even if there's nothing overly dramatic, I'll still be happy reading through them. But unfortunately for the characters, signs of trouble started appearing for both families. During the time that William and Julie are about to get married, Cecile, the 17-year young girl, told Sylvie that she's pregnant with another kid from her class. Meanwhile, for William, basketball that he's been doing his entire life because it's the only place he's find acceptance is gone with another knee injury to the same place he's had it before, since it was never taken care of properly. When he got married to Julia, his parents refused to go to his wedding and only sent an envelope with a check on it. He's now just tried to follow Julia's plan since he didn't have one of his own, and the plan is flowing along nicely. William was finally going to have a family that will love him, a family like Julia's family. Maybe even parents that will love William in ways that his own parents are not able to. She glared at him while she said this, but he could feel another message being delivered with her eyes. She regretted that his parents weren't coming to the wedding, and she regretted that his parents didn't love him. She would love him to feel their absence. That quote was from Rose, the mother character. All the characters have their quality that makes them instantly likable, where you immediately care about them and wish for good things to happen to them in the story even if they make mistakes later in the story. Even side characters like Rose, Julia's mother, play their role really well to the story. And even Charlie, Rose's husband and the father of the four sisters, who make last appearance in the story, leave such an impression that you'll definitely remember him even with how little he appeared in the story. Sylvie acted at how the priest and all the people at the wake defined Charlie with his biographical facts when he had been so much more. He was fast and beautiful and more present in the gift of baby formula to a young mother than in any day he spent at the paper factory. He was his act of kindness and his love for his daughter, and the 20 minutes he spent with Sylvie behind the grocers that evening. The title drop in the book even comes from Charlie. In a way, he's very familiar to Raymond from Everything Everywhere All at Once. It's a long story, but it really didn't feel that long because the story always progresses in a way that makes sense, in the way that feels like things are moving the way they are because it's these people, whether it's their triumph or their mistakes. The fact that he had failed meant that he had to continue to walk forward with his life history, his mistake slung over his shoulder like a heavy backpack. This fact exhausted him, but he was too tired to reject it. Meanwhile, because William never unpacked his past, never really communicated them to others, he never told Julia when they met, he still didn't tell anyone when they got married, and he still kept it to himself when they had a child. And it is still eating him from the inside in a way that it is affecting the sisters. He cannot live up to Julia's expectations since he's not the person that she thinks he is. William is a broken man trying to live the wake of his own body every day. And the only people who can see this is unfortunately his best friend Ken and his sister-in-law Sylvie, and it will affect the story. He never had this level of molecular awareness before, never felt so much in a single moment. William had always evaded the pointed spear that emotion threw at him and had been quick to smother any uncomfortable sensations. He had a hard time believing that other people were able to stand being alive if it came to them with this intensity. And when the out-of-control elements that's been introduced in the story got out of hand, the family that's been moving through the story like a single unit started to crack and fall apart, and we see them trying to put the pieces back or risk losing their identity. It's an amazing story. It's one of the rare instances where once I read the story, I almost cannot put it down because I want the story to continue to tell me where it's going. It's a retelling of Little Woman and a story of not only a gentle giant, but a fragile giant. He was learning the difference between calm and disconnected, and was working to make his days more the former than the latter. Some of the feel-goodness of the story do feel a little like plot convenience, and considering the story took place around the 80s before Michael Jordan debuted, some of the events that took place regarding mental health and other issues can feel a bit too advanced for the time and thus feel a bit forced. But it didn't take too much of the overall of the story. It's one of the better Iyashike, a healing story. It wears its influence and its theme on its sleeve, whether it's Little Woman or Rite of Passage, a parting of old generation and a new beginning in the next one, about acceptance and forgiveness, whether it is for others or for yourself, and it does it so well that it managed to encapsulate the experience of life. I give this a 4. What do you think? Are you gonna read it? Did I miss anything? Leave your thoughts in the comment below and subscribe to the channel. That's about it.